Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Sonntag.
Another instance of online harassment in the video games industry came to an ugly head this week, with a Nintendo of America employee blaming harassment for her dismissal from the company.
Yesterday, Allison Rapp, a product marketing specialist at Nintendo of America, made the announcement on Twitter saying, quote, "Today the decision was made. I am no longer a good, safe representative of Nintendo, and my employment has been terminated."
Now, she tweeted that the main cause of this was that Gamergate has been digging up all kinds of things about my personal life and contacting Nintendo about them.
Which is true.
Yeah, the story, which has been building for months, completely blew up after that, with one group of gamers upset with Nintendo for not supporting an employee in the face of online harassment, and another group of gamers upset with how Nintendo has been handling localization of its games, which is sort of where all this started.
I need those titties! Oh, whatever.
We love our boobs!
Yeah, over the last year or so, Nintendo's received heavy criticism with a subset of gamers for censoring and altering some of its Western releases.
Now, there were actually a few instances of this. There's a boob slider that got removed from character customization in Xenoblade Chronicles.
Damn it!
Bravely Default got less skimpy costumes for characters, and most recently, Fire Emblem Fates saw the removal of a face-petting minigame, as well as the removal of a scene that apparently involved converting a character to not be gay.
For fans who really care about this kind of thing, Nintendo of America's Treehouse Group, which is responsible for the localization of Japanese games here in America, became the center of many of their grievances.
And for some reason, they singled out Allison Rapp on the marketing team of the Treehouse as a scapegoat for their complaints.
It's actually kind of unclear why Rapp, as a marketing person of all people, she was singled out in this way. Some speculate it's that because Rapp was a vocal, sex-positive, and feminist activist who has at times poked the bear, so to speak, on Twitter, which could be your first clue in the first place.
Frequently, she did
Nintendo's
that a lot.
kind of buttoned up, and if you're going to be talking about sex all the time, maybe you're headed for a disaster.
Yeah, but the fact remains that as part of the marketing team, Rapp, she wouldn't have had direct control over localization decisions made on Nintendo games, and according to her, she was all in favor of the boob slider.
Yeah, she is, if you look at her history, a huge, I wouldn't say Japanophile, but a huge respecter of their culture, so...
And of boobs.
She's on Titty's side, for God's sakes, but who wouldn't be, right? But rather than simply airing their complaints through official Nintendo channels and addressing the company as a whole, the decision took a turn for the worse with the personal attacks on Rapp as the scapegoat for the issue. Over
the last few months, the tactics ranged from starting petitions to get Rapp fired, to digging through Amazon wish lists, to trying to find a scandalous picture or something of her to report to Nintendo.
Recently, these tactics changed when the groups found a messy, controversial thesis Rapp wrote in college arguing against Japanese strengthening its child pornography laws. They also highlighted a number of controversial tweets made by Rapp. Some of these tweets referencing her college thesis on their surface appear to be in favor of lowering the age of consent, relaxing pornography laws, and ditching the taboo of sexualizing fictional minors. Although, she was just saying, guys, you don't understand Japanese culture, so butt the fuck out. That's really what her point was.
Yeah, like not necessarily having to change the Japanese games for Western sentiments, and vice versa. Western sentiments not always appropriate for games that are originally Japanese, which is where we get the localization issues from the first place.
Yeah.
And since then, the campaign to get Rapp fired intensified, this time with a rallying cry that Rapp was an advocate for sex trafficking, child pornography, and pedophilia. It even went far enough that Jamie Walton, co-founder of an anti-sex trafficking advocacy group, the Wayne Foundation, called for Nintendo to dismiss her.
God, it's just a series of people making snap judgments, not a lot of information, isn't it?
Yep.
All this happened a few weeks back, but Nintendo stayed silent on the matter and kept Allison Rapp in their employ. At least until yesterday, when Rapp tweeted that she had been dismissed from the company.
Now, in response to many press outlets, developers, and gamers criticizing Nintendo for not sticking up for their employee who is being harassed, Nintendo released a statement denying that the online harassment contributed to her dismissal. According to their statement, Rapp was terminated due to violation of an internal company policy involving holding a second job in conflict with Nintendo's corporate culture.
Also, where does the idea come from that a company has to defend its employees? That's not how business works.
It's not how any of
It's
this
about
works.
money. You're not a family. I mean, we are here, but Nintendo, I mean, they're a company. Yeah. Gosh, guys. They did acknowledge the harassment campaign, but denied that it had anything to do with her firing, writing, quote, "Though Ms. Rapp's termination follows her being the subject of criticism from certain groups via social media several weeks ago, the two are absolutely not related." They continued, quote, "We firmly reject the harassment of individuals based on gender, race, or personal beliefs."
And after Nintendo's statement that it wasn't the harassment, but the second job that caused them to terminate her employment, Rapp confirmed via Twitter that she did in fact moonlight while working at Nintendo.
Okay. It's starting to get a little complicated, isn't it?
Yes, sure is.
She tweeted that Nintendo company policies that moonlighting is acceptable, and she did so anonymously with no links to her other personal accounts. However, the second job was discovered and reported anonymously to Nintendo, and it turned out to be a job that Nintendo found not to gel with its corporate culture.
She's running a preschool fight club.
That's awesome. Running an underground cosplay walk-off gambling?
Yeah, doing Let's Plays? So yeah, that pretty much catches us up to the present where nobody's gotten away clean. You've got Nintendo apparently caving to online harassment, Rap, who some have accused of engaging in irresponsible behavior online while representing a huge family-friendly corporation, and lastly, the people who think that getting somebody fired is the way to achieve their original goal of more boob-friendly localization.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dig into it, I think their point is they want to play the authentic version of the game that the intender created to make.
Do it! It's there. It's in Japanese.
Import it. How about that? Anyway, many have criticized Nintendo for not standing up for Rap during her months of harassment. This is actually a pretty complicated issue for somebody like Nintendo and not one with a totally winnable solution on their part.
Yeah, on one hand, Nintendo is an enormous corporation with, in their mind, bigger things to worry about than an employee's social media drama, whatever form that takes. And for its part, it sounds like Nintendo did what it could to allow Rap to continue working there, even when other companies might have dropped her immediately. And, like was said, not their job to go out defending her.
Per Rap's Twitter feed from last night, Nintendo shifted her job responsibilities once things started heating up, removing her from the public view. While some see this as punishing Rap for being harassed, it could also be interpreted as shielding both her and its brand from the brunt of the firestorm while allowing her to continue doing her job. And you know what? We don't know the whole story. Maybe, I'm just throwing this out there as a maybe she wasn't great at her job.
Totally possible. That happens.
I'm just saying maybe. I'm just saying maybe. Just a maybe. We don't know, is what I'm saying. Of course, now that people have learned about Rap's second job, they're pointing fingers at her, saying it's her fault anyway.
Well, if she was doing something that she knew was against corporate policy, then sure. As for what the second job might have been, we don't know. Nobody seems to. And honestly, it's really nobody's business but Rap's and Nintendo's. And they decided that they weren't compatible.
That's a great way of putting it. While Rap has pointed out that yes, Nintendo company policy did allow employees to hold second jobs, whatever a second job was, it was something that Nintendo was uncomfortable with, above and beyond her other social media presence, which was already pretty provocative. If they were cool with all of that, and suddenly this is the thing that killed it.
Where was the line?
Also, Nintendo as a company never gets embroiled in this stuff. So it had to be something pretty salacious.
Right, which I guess brings us back to the tweets and the thesis paper she wrote in college as far as how provocative she already was. Many of her defenders are sort of glossing over this part of the story or trying to explain it away, but there's no getting around it. The tweets and the paper don't look amazing for someone representing an aggressively family-friendly company, especially one that's Japanese. And once words like pedophilia and child pornography start flying around, it comes a minefield no matter what direction you move.
And in her papers, not bad. You can boil it down into something bad, but the original intent wasn't, so it kind of sucks that all this is a cloud over her head. But Nintendo's Treehouse Group has fired people for far less salacious statements, like they did last year when employee Chris Pranger appeared on a podcast to talk about localization.
And whether you think the industry needs to be more progressive or not, the fact remains that we just don't live in a perfect world where you can say whatever you want online with no repercussions. Putting opinions on my own in your profile doesn't mean that, especially if you're a public-facing representative of your employer.
Yeah. If you're on camera and your personality, you have to be aware of the association. If you're okay with that, then by all means leave your provocative college thesis on your LinkedIn profile, as Rap did, but it will likely come with a consequence. That's how the world works. You can say whatever you want, but there will be consequences. On the flip side, Rap did nothing to hide those statements. She had them openly noted on her LinkedIn. Nintendo probably knew what it was getting with her when they hired her.
But not necessarily the moonlighting, which I guess was the problem. So in the end, Nintendo and Rap, maybe not the best fit for one another philosophically.
We're not going to really delve into the politics of her tweets or her views.
Well, not beyond what we already have.
Well, yeah. People want a statement and they want a line. We're not going to do that. It's too big to unpack, and it's too easy to misconstrue, to take things out of context or mislabel.
Or assume you know everything.
Yeah, I think in this situation, one of the wisest things a human being can do is say, you know what, I don't know everything, so maybe I won't pass judgment. But, this is the internet, so that shit won't happen.
We weren't all there in the meetings.
Yeah, how about that? Some defend her paper and her views, saying that her main goal was to defend Japanese culture and start conversations about taboos, while others use some of the aforementioned phrases we've already discussed.
But regardless of those views, the campaign to get Rap fired started well before they were uncovered. The truth is, they probably didn't matter for the fans who wanted her gone from Nintendo, because they wanted her gone because booby sliders.
Yeah, and she said things that apparently made people angry and had the audacity to be a woman.
How dare you?
Yeah, it's Nintendo's prerogative to add or remove any content or features that it deems may just not translate into another particular region. They used to change the name of Holy in Final Fantasy to Pearl, for instance, because they didn't want to touch religious themes.
Yeah, and trying to get one person fired for this kind of harassment, it's not going to change that. Nintendo is still going to localize games its own way. You will not see a difference from this in the games themselves.
Also, they're pretty good at staying spotless, so maybe they know what they're doing. Yes. And they sell a shitload of games.
They sure do.
As is usually the case with these kinds of campaigns, nobody really wins. Hopefully the gaming community can find a more constructive way to deal with this type of controversy in the future, but we're not there yet. We may never get there, maybe in some fanciful version of the internet where people can't hide behind their computers and yell at people they've never met.
Yeah, that'll never happen. What do you guys think about the controversy? Let us know civilly in the comments.
God bless. For more updates on gaming industry news and controversies, like this video and please subscribe to The Know.
We'll give you booby sliders.
Yeah, we will.
All the booby
For
sliders
days.
you can want.
I'm trying to drag mine down, man. It's not
Pow,
good.
pow, pow, pow.
I'm all
Blah,
bloated
blah, blah,
today.
blah,
Oof, too much drinking over the weekend.